Thank you all for being here, and thank you. We are looking at this absolutely fantastic book right here that has been produced by this amazing artist that we have in house today, the Mollusc Dimension. Welcome, 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 welcome. Thank you for being here with us at the Shaded Writers, and first for making this work and for sharing it with us. So today we're just gonna have a gentle conversation about the book, about you, about your art, about existing in this world in the multiplicity of our identities and the way we find them, the way we create them, the way we exist in them, and the way we find joy. And yeah, in the book is The Weird and Wonderful Surviveries of Squid Horse. Yay! And yeah, first I want to start with, tell us about the cover art.
So yeah, I thank you for everything that you said. And it's really nice to see you, PJ. Um, so I was thinking a lot about the cover art, um, because I thought it would be really important to sort of have something that kind of communicates, yeah, the vibe of the book. And it I kind of researched, looked at like other covers and thought about what they were trying to communicate with their imagery. Um, so I guess I wanted to like, yeah, so what I kind of figured out is if it's like a mental health story, there'll be like this slightly sad looking character on the front. Um, but this character, if you've read the book, you will find that this character is taken from the title panel for a story about dating. Um, and yeah, as PJ will probably comment, I think, and people might have noticed, the depictions of me look quite different in the book. It's a bit like, um, yeah, I haven't got like a character sheet, which I've followed closely. But I'm trans, I'm like changing shape all the time. Um, so yeah, and then I kind of like referred a bit to like the trans colors, but kind of like subtly, I guess. And oh, and the pink sea is like I've got a music video called Take Me Back to the Ocean, and that has a pink sea in it as well, and I really like surreal imagery. So yeah.
Thank you. And I'm going to have that take us into a thought I had about identities and the way identities are explored in the book. And there are so many different approaches to how you explored identities, and thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, because I really enjoyed engaging with the book, and it felt more like a collection of books because it's such a collection of stories in so many different ways, and the way that you approached it without any sort of obligation to create nice, clean, cookie cutter endings and beginnings. It's okay to just flow in ways, and I really enjoy that. I really enjoyed, and I particularly like the character guide that you offered, and the way some ways of externalizing self through a perception of other identities, looking at things from the place of the other identity, and I really liked. I found relatable this rendering of identity. Let me share my screen because I found it interesting how easy it was to immediately know exactly. I immediately had a picture for this. It isn't necessarily the picture you intended, but I immediately had a picture for that. And I want to ask you, how intentional was the exploration of various identities? But these are some of the beautiful rendering of thoughts that are in the book. So please do buy the book and get a chance to enjoy this and stuff like this over and over and over again. I really like how that the table on which the drink is sitting looks almost like a hollowed out pineapple. At the same time, it looks like a drum. You know, and all the other creatures in the picture. But I really love this. Thank you.
I'm glad you picked up on that actually, because I did used to actually have I forgot that I did the table like that because I used to have a drum like that when I was at uni, and I used to use it as a table quite a lot. Um, I forgot the name of it, like an Egyptian drum. And then um with a new character, I draw the tables with that pattern. It's supposed to represent Wicca. It's my lazy rendering of like, Wicca basically. And actually, PJ, have you ever seen my music video, Asians of Feelings too? Have you heard the
I have
song?
not. And in the book, I saw uh thing when you scan your phone, it's supposed to lead you to things. And I was hoping it was going to lead me to music videos, but when I scanned it, it didn't lead me anywhere.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'll have to send you the music video. But the reason why I'm asking is because like some people here have seen the video or heard the song. So it's interesting to then like I thought it'd be an interesting surprise if you've already encountered the song to like find it as a comic. Whereas it's really interesting that you've encountered it as a comic first, which is like really cool. Yeah. Um yeah, I don't know. It's funny like how like I thought it felt really extraordinary to me to turn my song into a comic. And this was one of the panels I spent a really long time on like shading all the pebbles and stuff. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but I actually don't really use shadows for the rest of the book. Maybe one day I'll learn to do shadows. But yeah, I think this is one of the like probably the only panels that actually has like shadow in them. So yeah.
Amazing. So if you all want to see it again, you need to buy the book. Um, so yeah, let us talk about language. When you're othered, one of the things that I think was taken from people is language, and and so often in hidden and in histories that are not made available to us. We not only have to reclaim the history, but we also have to reclaim language for the history. But when you know in living in the now and the different ways that people are disempowered for whatever aspect of their existence, we still have to make language to hold that. And you've done such a rather beautiful job of creating language to hold existence. Let me share this. So here we have this one. Do you want to read this one for us,
Okay.
please?
Surviveries. Several years ago, I was astonished to read artist Jet Moon's definition of survivor, which included discrimination, e.g., racism and homophobia. It was the first time I felt I could identify as a survivor. Since then, I realized that some of my experiences could be defined as sexual violence and violence. I made up the word survivories, an amalgamation of the words survive, convivial, coexist, and jardinerie, sorry, bad pronunciation, French for garden centre, is pronounced survivories, where vi rhymes with by.
And there's also this one.
The Tree of Knowledge. Taking place in lockdown, this story refers ironically to 80s child, 90s teen. In the Old Testament, the Tree of Knowledge story bears forbidden fruit, which represents transgression or rebellion. Squid, horse, and coolhead mollusk stealing the bread represents how trans people and our allies unite to resist and dismantle transphobia. Today's turfiarchy, another vocabulary invention from me, you're welcome, descends from the archaic, hence dodo, the fictional Twitter tag, tradition of toxic cis women serving the patriarchy. As a survivor of traumas, I am beginning to explore my vulnerability in helpful ways and to understand the influence of colonialism on my thinking and my traumas. Oh, and I've been baking sourdough bread since August 2023. There's like a picture of some bread in, yeah, there's bread in there. Just like, otherwise it's like so random talking about like Turf's tree of knowledge and then there's like bread.
Thank you. Have you got other newly created vocabulary you could share with us? And could you tell us more about, creating vocabulary as a form of survival, as a form of, validation of existence and the power of continuation in creating the language that holds you?
Oh, I love this question. And I particularly love it because I have a handy list over here of the words. I've got 5 words for you. Okay. First one, content note for medical body references. Perimelanchopause, which is perimenopause and melancholy and pause. Sufficient, which is sapphic and sufficient and fish and shun and shunt, meaning knowledge. I should type these in the chat. Tequity, which is tech and equity, 2 more. Inglandular fever, self-explanatory. And Squid historical moment, which is Squid and history. I scared PJ off.
Yeah, that of course I start talking without putting my camera and my mic on because that's what you do, don't it? That's amazing. Thank you so very much. I am here smiling my face off because one, I appreciate you so much, and two, I really appreciate the ways that we have to find ourselves and our existence in not just how we relate to each other. And I didn't. I want to mention at the front of the book and throughout the book, there are so many ways that you held care at the center of the writing. And, whether it's about content notes, whether it's about saying what it is, whether it's about, just the way you hold caring and to find and create language that holds our existence and stands up radically for who you are and stands in protest. It's just you do that. I'm here for it. I'm here for it all. And yeah, really, really love that. Um, I want to give us another sneak peek at some more work from this amazing book and just looking at ways that you've held complexity and multiplicity of emotion while still holding true to the art of what you are sharing. And I want to look at the card of Lovely Piano. And do you want to read us through it and tell us probably what's happening?
I think you said lovely piano. It's lonely piano, but I also like lovely
Lonely
piano.
piano. It is the lovely, lovely, lonely piano. Thank you. Sorry. Go on.
So sometimes I don't know where I'm going, and in the strangest of places, and then you have to read the book to find out. Actually, I can just mention, but I'll put the link in later. There's also, if you're East or Southeast Asian, there's a book club and there's a giveaway of 2 copies of this book for the book club next this month rather. So like you can either like DM me, or if I remember I'll put it in the chat later. So I stumble upon remnants of myself. With music, even loneliness feels colourful. The void has rhythm. I sing my fears. So actually with this one, it had no words before originally, which I quite liked actually. It might make a good poster actually. But there was something about, because every other comic had words, so I sort of decided that even though I liked the mystery and the sort of open interpretation thing, I had a couple of conversations actually with my book editor, Shaven Raven Designs, who kind of, I mean, it wasn't a suggestion, but it was just, a comment that, if I'm trying to reach more people, maybe not everyone who picks up the book is like well versed in art and trying to find symbolism, and they might just need a little bit of help, into like my ideas. So I thought if I put some words there, it will, give at least one, like, yeah, maybe a little bit of guidance about what I actually was thinking about for it as well.
I like the words because I like. I think was it recently? Could have been yesterday on Instagram. I saw someone talking about the different ways that endorphins, if I've pronounced it correctly, are released. And one of the big ones was music that they're currently researching how music affects mood and how music moves the human. So the idea of it starting out with the first panel looking quite sad, but then there's music in the void. Like there for me, there's just so much joy in there's so much complexity in that because there is a joy of how music is moving you, or the protagonist in that particular panel, while at the same time holding the center of sadness. And I like again, I think as you know the way how things are explored, the way how you lean into emotions and you lean hard into a multiplicity of directions without necessarily tying it up smoothly. And yeah, I was going to ask you, and I think you have mentioned that how far away are some of the original concepts, how far away from the original concept are some of those presented in the final version. But I think you've answered that, like that particular one that you were presenting without words but then added words after. Did a lot of that happen where you kind of change things around a little bit when you from what you started out as, whether it's to make it easier or what, for whatever reason, really? Let me not offer reasons.
Yeah, I think I didn't really think, oh, I'm going to collect all these stories into a book and now I'm going to write all these stories. They just kind of happened. So, at one point I was thinking maybe it could be an art exhibition, so it can be like even more multilinear. Um, and I felt like it was really difficult to put them in any kind of order. Um, but having like, so it's got like different, I forgot what they are now, different categories. um my contents page, um weird times, growing pains and awkward times, guilt and goats, hall of fame, in search of wonder. So there's like 5 different sections. um yeah, so there's like, I think, I don't know, like sometimes when I'm making something I don't really like it and then I kind of get used to it, but it doesn't, like there could be like lots of different orders basically. um yeah.
Loved it. That's all I've got to say. I'm going to ask you about, but let me share this first. This is for the audience, and then I want you to tell us about some interesting piece of art or literature that you've engaged with. But let me share this and we can read it before we come to that question. Yeah.
In this house I feel. In this house I feel lost between worlds, some of which I've outgrown. My old friends visit us. High five. Dad sings Verdi. Oh, um, it's like I thought it was the same one. Things vanish before our very eyes. Where is the piano? It was right here. Where are we going? Oh, wait,
You
where
know
are
what
we
though?
going?
I really,
Huh?
really want you to come and read the whole comic to me. It I am so tempted to ask you to read it again because it gives it so much life and vibrance. It's so vibrant when you read it. It's different from me engaging with it on my own. Um, oh gosh, can you read it for us again, please? I just want the feeling.
In this house I feel. In this house I feel lost between worlds, some of which I've outgrown.
Sorry. Ah, there.
My old friends visit us. High five! Dad sings Verdi. Things vanish before our very eyes. Where's the piano? It was right here. Where are we going?
Oh, I like the fact that even the going is demonstrated by the wavy thing kind of, and everything is moving because somebody is flying attached to the piano that is no longer right here. Oh, and somebody's flying on a cloud with a heart. There's so much going on in this last picture of the panel. Wow. And there's a whirlwind happening in the other one where the piano is being carried away by a tornado.
It's
Love
also one of the
it.
a rare example of actually the whole comic being like a continuous location, sort of, apart from panel 5 maybe. And then also like the last two panels, like the same object appears again, like it's like more continuous. So despite the dream, like maybe I can only be like, maybe I want to be, maybe I feel better being continuous when it's like a dream like story.
I love it. I love it. You should consider making a video reading it because it really, really brings it to life, or even an audio. It really brings it to life to hear it in your voice. I want to invite the audience to respond to "In This House I Feel" in the chat. Just whatever comes up, and I will read them out after. So, "In This House I Feel," and drop that in the chat, whatever thoughts come up for you, and I will read them in a minute aloud. So now the question about interesting art or book or something that you've engaged with.
Can I just go back to, so actually, I am planning to do an audio version. I feel very behind with that because there were like some logistical difficulties, and I always underestimate how difficult everything's going to be. Um, but it's still something that I'm planning to do. I just need to find a way of doing it. But I have written a theme song um, for like the weird and wonderful survivories of Squid, and I think that's the thing I enjoy is like creating basically, and also well, usually the creation comes out of feeling frustrated, but I enjoy that I've created it because a very cool person who is really, yeah, very awesome East Asian person who's queer and non-binary is gonna sing the song, and so that's an aspect of it I'm excited about. As for stuff that has inspired me, I always get stuck on this question because I forget to kind of look it up before. But in terms this year, actually, so actually, I do try and share stuff on my stories quite a lot. Actually, do you know what I need to say for people here? That Shaded Writers have other events coming up, which are very cool. And if you're around, or if you know someone who'll be interested, please can you check it out and like support the space because it's a very precious and rare space. And yeah, and it also has like these like fortnightly sessions that I've got so much out of. And one of the reasons I feel very comfortable in this space is yeah, I've been attending the space. Um, yeah, and so I've been reading lots of East and Southeast Asian literature this year, and it's actually been um, partly thanks to the EC Book Club, Are You Informed? Um, that I've been reading the books because I know I'm going to speak to someone about the book. Hopefully the date fits. And so one of the books I read, it's called Peach Blossom Spring. And it's, yeah, so like content notes like war and it just it was really amazing to like read all the stuff that like yeah things that my parents found difficult to tell me and talking about storytelling and quite a lot of other books. I need to like do one of those like piles of books because I always think I mean I kind of think I want to do like book reviews but at the same time I don't really have the capacity and then but then you know maybe I can just share like a collage of the book covers just so that it, you know it can get some conversations going. But anyway, I just wanted to say again, like if anyone is interested, if they don't have a copy of the book yet, or if you want a cheeky extra one and you're East or Southeast Asian, then the book club I mentioned is doing a giveaway of 2 copies. You're also welcome to like get it as well. I did write something down. Oh yeah, my collaborators are doing cool things like my book editor, Shaven Raven Designs. If you're not already following them, please do. They work, they just work so hard, like always at like markets around the country and pride events and stuff, selling designs that they've made. Just like, yeah, a very hardworking person and loves to chat about their work and everything. So that's like ongoing. And then my 2 forward editors, forward writers, Dominique Young and Kim Chin, have like their Instagram pages with stuff that they've been doing as well. And yeah, just want to uplift people. And then I always feel bad because it's like, oh, I'm sure there's like stuff that I meant to say, but um yeah, it just hopefully I've given some people some ideas.
Thank you. Again, it's that sense of how I mentioned earlier that from the very first page of the book, there's a way that you're holding community care at its center that is just massively admirable. And that's a feeling I get as well, not only from what you've shared as a place to look for stuff, but the fact that you immediately go, oh, I hope I haven't missed out anyone type thing. Admirable. And thank you for not just making this work, but for holding community as a thought and as a deep love and as such a part, just so generously holding community at the center of your art. I really do appreciate that. And I want us to read. I'm having a look at the chat for some of the ways that in this house, you mentioned the audiobook. Do you have any sort of a time frame on that? Like, you have any idea when it will be released, or we should just watch your Instagram page type thing?
When will what be released?
The audiobook for this, because I would really love to hear you reading it. I really would.
Yeah, I think I need some access support on planning what would happen with that. Because I think um maybe, like sometimes people do the thing where they have created the whole thing and then they release it bit by bit, which is I guess it's like safer. But I feel like doing things bit by bit and then it sort of builds up is probably like, like now I've got the song, then I feel excited about it. So if I just made like a section or a few stories, then I might feel motivated to carry on. Otherwise, it's a bit sort of daunting. So actually, I did say it was going to be like 2025 anyway, so I'm not like too behind, except that I would like to yeah make some progress because I've got like my first comic convention coming up. It's called Thought
Woo-hoo.
Bubble and it's in Harrogate. So I've been like, yeah, making some stuff for that. And yeah, I think, yeah, so I don't really have a timeline. So but yeah, hopefully some of the people present have been so kind and like listened to me like as I have sort of talked about things that I found like a struggle. And I'm really grateful to people who've been like supporting me and stuff. So it's probably just like, yeah, a matter of working it out. But I'll update you. But I will say thank
We
you
will
for
follow your
like
Instagram, and I'm
thank you
sure
for
you'll tell
your
us. Sorry, I was talking over you.
no,
Go ahead.
no, me too. Sorry. I'm really grateful for your enthusiasm because it's sort of funny. Like I went to a couple of spaces where I had written out something and I was doing it more like an audio described version. So like a bit more like technical maybe. And I don't know why. It just people weren't feeling it. But I also they were not QT BIPOC spaces. And I don't know, it was interesting. It was disappointing and interesting. Like it didn't, but I didn't do it like it was today. Maybe I wasn't feeling as comfortable. Maybe I gave too much detail. Like so it's I've been sort of trying to like make it happen. Then maybe I just need to do it more in QTIBIPOC spaces.
We need to do everything in QTIBIPOC spaces, QTIBIPOC spaces. Honestly, the energy and the care with which our whole being is held is just different. Yeah, I'm sorry to say so, but it is. I'm not sorry to say so. Um, I'm going to read a couple of the responses to In This House I Feel. In this house I feel the edges of bricks, they make me want saw. In this house I feel I can lay roots again. In this house I feel wistful. So those are some of the responses to In This House I Feel. And tell us about your artistic practice. Do you have, well, let me not pad the question. Tell us about your artistic practice, how often you, and this could be beyond your comics, it could be your writing, your music, your, yeah.
Well, I describe myself as a multidisciplinary artist. Um, so yeah. And actually, yeah, I was thinking because yeah, sorry, I got distracted. But like, I think I make stuff because I feel like I want to express something in that medium. Um, but it might be nice to have a bit more of a structure as well. I think actually, for example, going to Shaded Writers gives me a structure because it's like, oh, now I will make some, you know, something. Um, so maybe like doing something with music like that might help. In fact, actually teaching helps me to keep my structure because then I have to play something to my students. Um, and like performing, I think, yeah, like performing. I've been doing less of that because I've been working on the book. Um, so but performance gives me a structure because there's like a time and a date, and then I prepare my performance for it. So um yeah. What else? Yeah, I've been writing some poetry. I've like yeah, I've been in some things. Actually, I don't know if people have heard of this. There's this scene, it's this issue 3 of like our zine. It's pretty cool. This is it does have some like what do we call it? Erotic stroke adult stuff in it. It's just a pleasure issue. Um, so like it's been nice to be like part of things. Yeah, actually that was very multidisciplinary because they had an opening night with different performers. So yeah, I think it's like seasons in a way of like kind of doing different sorts of genres and mediums for me.
You know, the thing is, when you're the one who's sitting on top of all of that talent and art creation, it feels like a natural outpouring. But to us mere mortals, it's like, how do you do all that? What's your practice? How often do you do this? Well, maybe to you it feels like breathing. So it's very easy to not necessarily take it for granted, but just look at it as a natural extension of your existence. Uh, well done. It's a lot and highly commendable. And this book is absolutely beautiful. And I thank you for bringing it. And I thank you for coming here to talk to us today. And I have one more panel for you to read to us, just from the sense of how you have held community care at the center of this book. And, you know, ways of looking after oneself. I would love, and this is the last question I will ask you, that you read this. Tell us a little bit more about it, and just the idea of napping is such a radical thing and such a radical way of holding care at our center. And you know, this is lovely and amusing and sad and happy and surreal. And again, it's the complexity of emotion that I find when I read it, you know, the anticipation and then the disappointment and then the resilience of, okay, I guess I'll just wait for the next one. All of that just packed into these 4. I don't know if you call the whole thing a panel or each section a panel, but I just find it like such a beautiful thing to read and to engage with. Can you
Oh,
read it for us, please,
thank
and tell
you.
us a bit about it?
Yeah. Before I do that, I'm just going to gently chide you, PJ, for calling yourself a mere mortal because you're an amazing writer and everyone here is creative. So, um, and actually, so I keep forgetting that PJ runs a spoken word night that I need to go to, and I want to, yeah, I want to go to it. So like PJ does a lot of things. So, you're very creative, PJ. So I'm going to read it now. A little extra sleep. Sleep is catching up with me. Oh wait, sleep is catching up with me. Sleep is catching up with me. Sleep runs past me. I guess I'll just sit here and wait for the next one.
Thank you. We are all gonna stay here and wait for the next one with you, for the next art you produce, for the next nap that we're able to engage with, the next time sleep comes and stays, the next time we have your presence, Squid. We are just going to be here waiting for all of the next, while we enjoy the now and while we enjoy the present and while we enjoy you. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for having this conversation with me. If you have questions that you wish to ask, do feel free to drop them in the chat. But yeah, thank you. We really appreciate you. Is there anything that you want to say that I probably have not invited into the conversation myself?
I don't think so. Um, yeah. Thank you so much for the interview. Yeah, it's been really, really lovely to talk to you. I also want to plug my friend Lily, who's here, who's doing a workshop on 16th of November. I was just like sort of vaguely remembered that, which is in West Norwood and Cherry Tree underscore walk because they do really cool nature and creative workshops. So yeah. And thank you everyone for I'm sorry to people who I don't know why I thought it was gonna be a really short interview, but I actually really liked the length of that, and I hope you feel like staying with us for the workshop as well, if you have capacity.
And thank you, Lily, who I don't know if you know that Lily is my friend as well. I don't know if you're aware of that, but yeah, Lily and I are friends. Hi, Lily. We're all shouting out your name for a bit of a moment. Thank you, everyone. So this is the end of this part.